morning. Good morning.
Hey, man, what's good? What's good?
This is the SureWin LernSumthn Podcast. I am your host, SureWin LernSumthn, and host to your right of me is Blue Baker. Where you been, buddy?
Man, trying to get ready for this. Trying to get you here for about the past 3-4 years. Finally got you. Yeah.
You went on your hiatus.
A little bit.
When to go learn something.
There you go.
To create some more new wins for yourself, right?
I'm trying.
And be able to share that to the masses.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate
It's
it.
definitely a blessing for us to be here together, bro.
Appreciate it.
Man, finally glad to get another project going, because, we've done some things in the past before. So,
Absolutely.
man, hey, we kicking this thing off, man.
Let's go.
How you been?
Man, so, man, I've been good. I just came off of the coaching from last year. That's like Little League football, man. That's a all year thing. We're getting obviously ready to ramp up to that. Obviously, we got the kids, everybody graduating, about to be a grandpa.
Hey.
I know, right. So, man, life is good. What about you, pal?
Man, same here, man. Hey, we had an amazing season with the fellas. I appreciate the opportunity, being able to coach alongside you. Developing those young boys was most definitely a challenge in itself.
Yeah,
but to see them develop and grow and learn fundamentals for the next year coming, appreciate your leadership and your guidance on that. And just helping making that overall situation over there at Augusta United a lot better, man. So, kudos, hats off to you on that. But nah, man, it's taking care of the fam, bro. Kiddos is doing their thing. I got the little one that's in basketball right now. Right. Came out of the season, pretty solid season, and going into AAU, and all the ones, the other ones is in college. And
now, how's she appreciating that training?
Training, man.
I know you amped her up after the season.
No, I had to look at what she wanted, and when she came out of the basketball season, it was all about what she wanted. And I'm here to be a guidance, be a tool for, a resource for her to get to those, those opportunities. And so she said, I want to get better in the craft as far as ball skills and gain more confidence.
That's right. That's right.
Us as parents, man, that's what we're trying to do, man, just steer them in the right direction. What they need and what they want. Some of what they want, not everything what they want, but most of everything is what they need, and some of what they want, and hopefully those things are just things that help build them. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So this is a good question. And if you follow anything on social media, they've been talking about Gen X. What would be even your generation?
Yeah.
And obviously the different level of, I'm going to say, what our kids are going through versus what we went through. Yeah. Right. So based off of what you have to give, because obviously you 11?
Yeah. 11.
Yeah, nice, good in 11. I remember where you was at 11. So nice, good in 11. Can you tell me, I'm going to say, some key or fundamental differences between, I would say, parenting 11, 12-year-olds now, obviously youth, versus, I'm going to say, guidance you had when you were coming up?
The guidance I had coming up was, it's twofold. So you have the guidance that's in the house, right? Mom and dad, work hard, study, get your work in, no playing around at school.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
they didn't play, no.
and that was what, the rules, are the rules that you had agreed upon with your parents, right? And do the right thing, just make good choices. But when it came to like athletic and sports, you kind of got to take those same processes of doing the right thing, do good in school, because that's a discipline. That's a thing that you have to study every day. You have to, it's a process, right? That you have to develop to be able to get those results that you're looking for.
All right.
And so you take that same process and you just really adopt it to the athletic side.
So let me ask you, do you think we hold their hand to a degree way more?
Absolutely.
Versus what we kind of, because when I think about when we had to go to practices and stuff like that, you really didn't have nobody. Like, we had to make sure we had our own ride.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Or a way to get home. Right? Yeah. It wasn't nobody picking us up from practice. Wasn't nobody sitting at practice. You see what I'm saying? They just knew you was at practice, and that was it.
And see, man, that's where we come in to today's us as millennial parents.
Yeah.
Right? We want to make sure that we can get onto this, that, and everywhere else, because we know we went through that, and we had to figure out how we was going to be able to, go to sports and be in these different clubs and these different extracurricular activities. Because mom and dad, if it wasn't that much important to them if it was outside of school or church, see what I'm saying? So the sports was really necessary. It really was an amenity to the overall just kind of going through childhood development or childhood growth to those different levels. Yeah. So
all right. And look, ain't no knock to the younger parents, man. I'm just, hey, I just remember back in the day when we was out there, nobody really seemed to know where we was. Nobody really asked about it. And the funny thing is, somebody was talking about that commercial that used to come out back in the day, and they used to literally ask you where your kids were, like to remind you. Yeah. And you literally came up in the time frame with that, where you left the house, you didn't come back in till the street lights came on.
That's right.
Right. That was it. And the reason being is you didn't want to get trapped in the house. I look at the neighborhoods now, man, you don't see nobody outside. Like, you don't see no youth outside. Every blue moon, you might see a basketball goal. Every blue moon, you might see a couple of them out there. But how we used to have the neighborhoods and how we used to play again, like we used to wake up and it used to be, hey, we about to go play the other street.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
We had to figure out even the day before.
Yeah.
What was going to do the next day?
Oh, we already talked about it. So we don't see any of that now. And I was just, obviously I know there's a difference. The world has changed. So obviously how you got to navigate in it, you also have to change. But, I just thought it interesting because you see a lot more postings about the Gen X, obviously, versus,
Yeah,
we were a little bit raw.
Very, very much so. Very much so. I think that the Gen Xers now, if they could look into our past, right? And even in some neighborhoods now, you see some reminiscences of kids getting out and doing something, but man, there was no kids in the house.
No.
Before the actual, I would say street light came on. And so, that affects all of the kids, really, a lot of the kids now of how they approach just activities in general. And so, going through the football season, we kind of saw that where kids who never really been outside because they used to on the video games.
Madden's not the same, guys.
Yeah.
Madden's not the same.
So, getting them just, shaking all of that off of them.
Right.
And being able to get dirty, get sweaty, all that stuff is really good, man, for building just character overall. So,
No, I agree.
It's our job to continue to help them to see that, hey, you have it's two sides of this.
So Chase, I want to add one more question that tied into just because of what you just said. So let me ask you, so we can say, man, as people, man, we have a tough time I'm going to say cooperating with one another. I think one of the scenarios when we think about our culture is that when one of us makes it, it's like you never want to pull one up, or it's kind of like we kind of get into this where we get isolated and we leave the pack behind. So let me ask you, do you think because of the way we used to interact in the neighborhoods, right? Back in the day, you used to play streets and streets and streets over. Yep. Right. So you knew everybody. I would say more community-based versus more we kind of a society based off of, I'm going to say, individuals right in the neighborhood. Do you think that cooperation that we used to have with the other streets, the other neighborhoods, the other side of town, you understand, on that GP, that camaraderie of playing the sports together, that helped us to, I'm going to say, hindsight when we grew up to work with each other, I'm going to say, as individuals, versus kind of how you got the isolation now? If you're just playing Madden, right, you never see your neighbors, do you think their cooperation skills and learn how to work with others is being a little bit hindered due to, I'm going to say, the lack of?
I mean, it's collective effort, right, to know that you can, you come up with someone who's a street down or on the same street as you, right? And you just learn how to work with each other, whether that's good or bad, or whatever that outcome is. But then when you are now today's kids, where there's a lot of isolation, they're just really resistant with working with other kids, and so that bleeds over into the classroom. As well, so, you become like a social misfit in a sense when you are in an isolation mode. So yes, I think parents today, especially us millennial parents, we have to continue to press our kids to get out and interact with the other kids in the neighborhood or around. Now, yes, times have changed. You have to be careful of who you have your kids around and who they're dealing with. But that also changed because, parents now, how are they interacting with their neighbors? And I know back in the day, your mama knew who was up around, you know who kid that was. I know who, buddy in front of my house, who his granddad, his grandmama was. I lived in the country.
Come on.
So, but still, even when I went into I would say the city, that we knew who everyone was and who their parents were because, we were in a smaller town too. So that does matter too, but still communities are just small towns within the town itself. So, I think it's on us as parents to, if we want that for our kids to be not social misfits, we have to show that same behavior to say, hey, let's go talk to the neighbor. Let's go say hello. Let's walk the neighborhood together. Let's help our neighbors out if we need be. And so, all those things can be, I would say, reciprocating in the sense to where that relationship can be developed and built over time.
Man, I would love to see some statistical data. If you are in the educational field, and hey, we would love to know your own personal experiences and whether or not kids in the classroom, have you seen more, especially if you're a teacher that's been in the classroom, I'm going to say for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Because you know what the classroom was, right, back in 1980, and now you know what it seems to be more, or 1990, now you seem to know what it looks like more in 2026. And I would love to see or hear your opinion about whether or not, hey, it has gotten a little unruly in the classroom because I've talked to a couple of teachers and I would tell you they have fights every day. And the only thing I can ask is, and going back to what we're talking about is socialization, because I think that was the word I was just boiling down to. And are our youth starting to lack maturity in socialization due to not that community effort on the outside? Right. And first was they're going to run the folks. You got to go to school. Right. So when you show up at school, all right, now you around people for the first time. I wonder how you responding. Are you not knowing how to? And I talk about work with indifference, stuff like that. Right. Because one thing when we was on the playground, true story between you and I. Right. In the playground, getting a scuff. Right. We ain't gonna talk about win at this point.
No, man, we know who won that fight, but we'll go. We'll get back.
We'll table it for another day.
Yeah, go ahead.
But hey, we had a disagreement. We turned that disagreement into best friends. Over 30 years. Right. And I can think of numerous people that I had a situation with when I was younger, and then all of a sudden became the best friendships I ever had. Yeah. But it's overcoming that, that indifference that you and someone has. And I hate to say it, but I got to say it. Look, just because somebody does something or says something does not make them a bad person. You hear something that somebody said that you don't like, it does not don't be throwing the whole kitchen sink out the table. That is not the case. Sometimes, understand, the people you love the most are going to do stuff and say things that you don't like.
Correct.
Right? That does not make them a bad person. I think when we have to deal with each other more often and then have to overcome those situations, I think that helps for socialization and understand. It helps to mature us when we get into those indifferences. Because people aren't arguing with each other when everybody happy. Yeah. Right. Things that break things down is when we have disagreements.
Correct.
And they're not learning at a young age how to handle disagreements with someone else. And that's why I'm just didn't understand. I'm pretty sure it's bigger than that. But I just have to think about, man, hey, where y'all at? Y'all not outside like you used to be. And understand, online gaming don't. And I like online games, so let me not knock it. I like it, but it's still not the same as meeting somebody person to person,
That's right,
hand to hand, and having to deal with them physically in interaction.
That's right. So like I say, if they could get a insight into our past, and then they'll see, why we are able to be more, how we mature socially over a period of time. And I think it's still the kids today, they still have the opportunity to improve their social ability. But parents got to be involved in that aspect. I most definitely kick mine out the house as much as I can, possibly. Fortunately, the neighborhood I live in is, I do communicate and wave at everybody. I speak to everybody that come with asking that they'll know them your kids. Yeah, exactly. Because that's kind of the first thing, man. Oh, I know who kid them is down the street. Yeah, So that's kind of got to improve. But why are people just kind of shelled into themselves? Why is that?
Man, that's a great question, man, for why, what has happened. And, man,
Yeah, what's caused the withdrawal, man?
I would say a lot of things have, man. Technology is our friend, right? It has made a lot of things easier.
IoT.
It has made a lot of things easier, no doubt. No doubt.
Little things, man, yeah.
But I also think it's kind of led to a pathway, to where it has, it's just nil certain communications that we used to have to do.
Correct.
It's just no longer there. I was listening to a gentleman the other day, and let's talk about technology, because now more things are chat GBT, type text, because I'm saying type texting and all that good stuff. That's technological based, because at one point, kind of like with this pen, you used to have to write it.
Yep.
But this is the thing, they don't even teach cursive no more. So I was listening to the gentleman the other day. The Constitution is written in cursive.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't write it, you can't read it.
Yeah.
Right, Lord, where we at on that?
Yeah.
Where we at on that? Right. If you can't write it, you can't read it. So the oldest document that basically governs the United States,
Correct.
You would be struggling.
True.
Struggling. And I'm like, how's that not so important?
Because you need to know.
Now, and that's just like one little caveat, right?
Yeah.
We can name one, but things like that, man, to where now when you think about where we're at, I'm saying as a society, the comfortabilities we got, man, due to be able to handle a lot of things on our own due to efficiencies from technology. Man, I think it's led to it.
And the technology really does take a lot of identity out of the things that we do as well. It makes it such an easy pathway of not only to just information, but it most definitely enhances what we can do, but it also can cripple us too.
I'm gonna give you a good one. Relationships, right? So let's talk about this. Back in 1980, 1990, right? So that's just gonna give you about a good 40-year bandwidth. In order to get a girlfriend, I had to talk to her. Yeah, it wasn't hitting no profile up. It wasn't none of that.
Yeah.
I had to talk to her.
Yeah.
Straight up. Had to talk to her, man.
Yeah.
I had to have communication skills. Mm-hmm. Right. What does that do? That gives you a chance to know somebody. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Why do I say that? That intimacy there, think about now. And no knock, because I'm not telling you it doesn't work. I'm just letting you know or showing you where that interaction is now starting to leave. Right. So now you get dating profiles. Bet. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're not getting to actually size this person up as if when you met them. Right. When you got the word catfish. Mm-hmm. Right. They took their best Sunday photo.
Yeah.
Put it up there. Right. So this is what you done fell in love with now. Yeah. Right. Because you're not getting that personal engagement. When you get married to them, you gonna date them online? No, you have to live with them. That means you gonna have to talk with them one-on-one every single day. Wake up to them every single day. That is not the same as right. And I'm just pointing it out that technology. In my day, I didn't even have an option. So naturally, I had to do it. Now I do have an option. And the chances are, am I going to pick the easier of the two? Right? Or I'm going to do the one that's probably necessary for me to promote my, I'm going to say, social skills. Yeah. Which would be to talk to you. Right. To actually talk to you would be the better way of going about it. And that's why I just say technology. We didn't have, let's say, cell phones. Right. New invention. Hey, man, we used to have to sit there and wait on that landline. You know what I'm saying? If it was one landline in that house, you was not at the top of the totem pole to use it. Right. So you wasn't even talking to nobody.
Yeah.
Something you talked to them was in school.
Yeah.
Right. It was in school.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't no, hey, you passing little love letters. Y'all remember how I used to write love letters? Right. You had to write a letter to them. No text message. Nah, you ain't even had no email. You had to write a love letter. And I'm just saying that all those things, when you think about the intimacy that involved with that kind of interaction versus, I'm going to say, the lack of intimacy due to the interaction that can get you in the same place today.
Correct.
So
how do you get the people to see the other side of it, man, to where they really need to find the substance and being able to build, like I said, those communication skills versus using the Internet of Things to be able to speak for them?
I think at the end of the day, man, you just got to be comfortable with both. Like, I leave tech. Look, I'm not about to go back to the black and white. And that's why I said the other side of, like my flat screen, I'm not about to go back. Well, what I'm saying is that if I didn't have that flat screen,
Yeah.
I ain't got no problem going back and reverting to the old school ways of how to communicate. Pressing internet goes down today. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Do you know what your alternatives are?
What you gonna do?
Plan B.
Lord forbid.
Yeah.
Lord forbid. So, so you just point out, man, the different things that have advanced us that has now taken away that interpersonal communication that we used to have to do. And now that we have options of taking out some of the, not everything, but some of the things out. I mean, so I think when you think about it in hindsight and you add them all up, a lot of that did help you kind of, interact with each other. To where now it's kind of more when you have to interact with somebody.
Correct.
And now it's kind of up in the air because we don't know how things are about to go.
Absolutely. So man, let me take a pause for the cause for a second, right? And do a slight pivot, right? We talked about a lot of different things over the years, and shared a lot of different, thought processes, strategies, and things of that nature to help us to, move the needle, improve, get to those productivity or production things and have success. Why now? Why now this podcast? Why now, create SureWin and then learn something? Why is that important to you?
Well, I think, like you mentioned, we talked about this for years. I think if you just look at the catalog of just being at events, doing this, I would say the not-for-profit scenarios, the talks, I think we've kind of almost put it together.
Yeah.
I think the scenario is that the timing is right for us to come together now to where we have the space and the focus to actually get it done.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing. Like you kind of mentioned, I was on hiatus. But, kind of like him, I also have a 8-year-old son. So, I'm coaching and doing all that good stuff now. So, to get the opportunity to kind of pour in, I'm going to say on a different platform. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this would be beyond just our youth. This would be obviously for our community.
Correct.
And, it's that time. Like I said, this is a platform that, we kind of setting up to where we could talk about anything and everything, right? Some things are going to be controversial.
Yep.
Some things are going to be simply just our opinion.
Yes.
It does not mean that we disagree or disrespect anything that you feel. It's just, there's multiple ways and multiple perspectives to look at things. All right. Question is, can you look at all of them?
Yeah. So when you created the name LernSumthn, what was your thought process in that?
Because, at the end of the day, let's talk about mastery for a second.
Yeah.
When do you master something?
After you've repetitively repeated doing that process of that step and gotten those results, either that are good or bad, because you can master something to be bad at it. You master something to be very good at it.
All right.
But those results, and then you see how those results are scaled to, either greater or either worse, right?
Right.
And that's what I believe mastery is. But it's a combination of a lot of things. It's the process, it's repetitiveness, it's the experience, it's the fails as well as the wins that allow you to see clearly what you should and shouldn't do to get the results that affect not only you or something or someone else.
That's right. So I took that mastery, and like I said, the question is, or I asked myself, are you a true master? When have you mastered anything? You can always look at results. But do you ever finish mastering it?
There you go.
True masters just learn how to do the same thing over and over and over in different ways. Matter of fact, you're a true master when I can do that one thing 100 ways. So I'm an even truer master when I can do it 200 ways.
Correct.
Right. So do you ever stop mastering? So thus learn something.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you think you got it. And it just reminds you, talking to my daughter, and I got one arm that's 15. So we can just imagine where she's at in the mental space as far as, hey, I know it all. I've done it. I've done enough. 15 years. I done figured it all out. So that's a lot of the conversations, right?
Been there, done that, right?
We all have, right?
Yeah.
We all have. So that's the conversation now to where, hey, I've been there, done that. And what I've always tried to, with all my kids, just be vocal about is, don't ever think you're at a spot that you figured it all out.
Correct.
It's too vast. the situation really is that you never will. You should never figure it all out. Right. Always be learning something.
Correct. Got it.
Right, man.
No, perfect, man, with being able to sum all that, what learn something actually means and how you got to that. Because that learning process gets you to what we will hopefully be that sure win, right?
That's it.
And so those strategies that through the learning process get you to that win. And, that win is having a process, working that process, being disciplined to it and being consistent, but, also adding in other components, from I would say a higher being or a higher perspective, or we was talking about just spirituality and God. If you can culminate those things together, that can get you to that actual sure win. So we just wanted to share, man, that the purpose of this podcast is to know that there's a journey in life that we all have to travel, that we all have to trek. And in that journey, you're going to learn a lot of different things of knowing who you are, what works, what doesn't works, within the process and the pathway that you're going to get to success. And I don't think anybody wants to lose, but losing or making mistakes or failing are all opportunities to get to that win. And so that's the learn something part of this that gets you to the sure win. And that's what this is going to be about, man. We're going to be able to, share stories, real experiences, share opportunities that we've had, opportunities that we squandered. Because it hadn't always been, peaches and cream.
No, my friend. And I would say ain't nobody really made it anywhere. They ain't had no loss, no kickback, no objective they had to no mountain. What is a good win, right? When you didn't have to actually do anything to achieve it.
Ooh, man, do you appreciate it as much?
Can you with no, understand, skin in the game? Yeah. If I just give you the, hey, man.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have any skin in the game. You just now have it.
That's a lot to unpack, man, because we see it in so many different lanes.
That's right. That's right.
That's family life. That's, man, that's like to talk about the work life or the business.
The different roles.
Yeah.
The different roles.
So many get the reward or the award of having something, getting something, and hadn't done any work.
No skin in the game, man.
And so that affects how we move as people, in our own individual situations, in our own work life situations, family situations, and really society, man.
That's right.
There are some entitled people. And I think that increases entitlement when you are able to be awarded something and you didn't have to work for it.
That's right.
And so that's why it's important for us as parents not to give everybody, our kids, everything that they want.
Can't give them everything.
That's why in your work life and your business life, you have to have processes and steps for people to learn how to operate within the business itself, and not just give them promotions when it's because of who they are or who they may be connected with or who they know, especially if they haven't learned anything to get to that point.
That's right, man.
So
absolutely right.
And that's why, coming into this, it was understanding like people's identifying their purposes.
And we talked about that a little bit, that purpose. And we actually slightly, because I asked you what purpose was. You thought the purpose could be simplified.
You said good person. You just want to be a good person.
I mean, if I had to pick it or not.
That's a base. That's a good base to start from, though, to be a good person. But what does that mean?
That is a good place to start from, man. Because, at the end of the day, I won't go back and forth about right and wrong. I think that would matter where you're sitting at the table. But I think in general, we do know what the better decision is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Doesn't mean that's the one you always want to do, but we know what the better decision is. Right. And I think we have to get to a point, man, to where when we wake up, we just, man, put your best foot forward.
That's right.
And no one's really asking you to go out your way. Just put your best foot forward.
Have a plan.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something.
Have an agenda.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Let's get even simpler than that. Gentlemen, my young fellas, if you see an older lady, man, walking out the door,
Yes.
go open the door, please.
Yes.
Doesn't it just seem like the nice thing to do?
The right thing.
Come on, man.
The gentleman thing to do.
Come on, fam. You know, like I said, it doesn't require you to get out there and have no PhD just to simply do something nice or be the better version of yourself. Right. Nobody asking you to go get to 100. No, man. Just start at 75. That's three quarters of the time, right? We'll let you have a day off every blue moon because we imperfect. So you're going to have bad days. But I think in general, being a nice person overall,
Yeah.
I mean, you touch anything, man. Right.
No,
Just try to be nice to your fellow person, man.
I agree. That's where it all should start at. Hey, having that baseline, or that foundation.
Basic.
That's where you start out, right?
Basic.
So, like I said, those values have to be taught as well. So what you learn from what's around you, it really is what's going to kind of be projected out of you. And so back to what we talked about in the very beginning, man, is
Learn two ways, brother. Education.
Yeah.
Experience. Exposure.
Absolutely. Yeah, what you're exposed to. Yeah, absolutely. So, those values are what we have to say would be the baseline of identifying what our purpose starts off to be, because our purpose can change over a period of time, and this just life is just stages, man. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to, you go through the adolescent, teenage, young adult, and you're trying to identify what that purpose is. But I believe that baseline foundation helps you kind of really find that out as time goes.
So you ask this, but I'm gonna ask you, man. So where do you go when you just waking up? Right. And the purpose, I'm gonna say, isn't as clear or isn't as confirmed, right? Because there's plenty of days you could wake up, man. You just kind of in the midst of the moment, you kind of see what's going on around you, but you ain't really quite sure where you fit in the grand scheme of things. So it gets a little challenging, what that purpose may be. Because I think a lot of people have great intent, but they're just not quite sure where it fits in. And this goes back to like simply being a nice person. Hey, man, use your talents to help somebody. I hate to keep it a buck and simple. Use your talents to help somebody. If in the event, I would say you're struggling with what that purpose is that day. Because remember, you don't sometimes have to get up and have a script for purpose. That's not the way purpose works. All right. It may be a moment where you pulling somebody out of a car that's on fire. Right. Obviously, your purpose that day was to bring that brother or sister back. Right. So you had you can have several different purposes. You have a different purpose as a father. You have a different purpose as a brother. You have a different purpose as a husband. Right. So in general, and we were just trying to make sure we gave a simpler form for, because he asked me this question at the time, and the question, my original answer was that is such a complex question. And the reason is that I don't think you can naturally put purpose into a single category, because you have multiple purposes based off of the role that you may be in that day. But overall, man, just be nice to folks. I promise you'll resolve a lot of your purpose there. Yeah, you'll resolve a lot of it there.
No, that hits it dead on the head, man. Just having that foundation, bro. But if you are the person who, because we hear it a lot.
Yeah,
you're gonna hear it for all of your life. Well, define your purpose, and you'll know what direction you should go. You'll know what you should be doing in life. You'll know, this is, you can turn your purpose into your mission. You can turn your purpose into, your actual job or to making money for yourself. It goes so many different directions. But that baseline of just being a good person, and that being a good person, that foundation built off of the core values and beliefs and things that are what we consider to be good and being good to folks. But it goes beyond that, man, to where when you are searching and seeking that, is you have to analyze your strengths. You have to know what your weaknesses are. And I think when you are able to see what your strengths and weaknesses are, whether that's talking in front of a crowd, whether that's, like I said, being able to be a good listener, or whether that's being able to bring smiles and joy to people. It goes in so many different directions, but I think that's where you have to look at, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses?
That's right.
And when you consider what those things are and how they complement people and scenarios and situations throughout life, you can start tracking that. You can start, monitoring that, this worked, this didn't work.
That's right.
And it's all about exploration at the end of the day as well, man. You have to explore through life, different things in order to identify what that purpose is as well. And so for that, I always say that because you just don't know, hard line. What your purpose is right now may be different next year.
I didn't want to interrupt. I do have one question.
Yeah.
Please feel free, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan,
What did that do?
to let me know what your purpose is.
What? Where did that come
ahead,
from,
brother.
man? Where did that come from? Where did that come from, bro?
We good, man.
It's mighty funny.
You were talking about. I do think I still think one thing though.
Blue and silver on there.
Hey, you're right.
Because it's real deep down, bro. You want to be a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Oh, I was trying to give you some purpose. But anyway,
You know what the purpose is? It is the purpose of being a Dallas Cowboy fan is that you are displaying and demonstrating your faith and your loyalty to the team, the brand, the culture of being a Cowboy, bro.
You know, I had to tell my son, he's 8. I said, y'all ain't been to the playoffs since you've been born. How's that even your team? Purpose. Well, we're talking about purpose.
Bro, the Cowboys had nothing to do with this. You brought the Cowboys and it had nothing to do with it.
No, we were talking about purpose.
Yeah. The purpose of a Cowboy fan is to show other fans how to be as loyal and as faithful and to have hope. Hope, bro.
You heard it first from a Cowboy fan.
Hey, man. Hey, listen, that does not mean that I'm not realistic, all right? Realistically, the Cowboys have not shown their purpose other than doing just enough to get by, all right? Doing just enough to get by. And, it is what it is. Anyway, man.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I told him that.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you could give me some insight.
Man, whatever.
My son doesn't do me any justice.
Man, what you got going on, bro? What's next for you, bro? What's next on the totem pole for you, the project to knock out besides us doing this right here? What you got going on?
Man, so the good thing is we're getting ready to kick up youth football, Augusta United.
Shout out Augusta United.
That's it. Hey, 7 to 8 year olds. Right now we're flag football 7-on-7. Regular season's getting ready to start here very soon. I obviously naturally need to, if you got one and you know he's about it, because this isn't rec. So if you got one, he knows about it. 7 to 8. The information will be down below. Hit me up. 7 to 8. Augusta area.
So, Augusta United, you part of the organization, right? You just recently got offered a board position, right? Or some level of the higher level leadership, and in addition to coaching. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. We're working out some details.
Yeah, gotcha. So, this is a twofold question. There's a lot of privatized organizations being built in the CSRA, specifically in the Richmond County, Columbia County area. I've probably seen about 7 or 8. I don't need to name them, but they're out there. And they are creating opportunities for the youth from those ages of 5, 6, all the way up to 12, 13. I would say that's the level of where you would see in football and basketball for a private situation. And then you also have the other components that are out there, or other organizations out there to be involved in sports, not recreation, right?
That's right.
So as a private nonprofit organization as Augusta United is, and you see these competitive entities being built, how do you continue to drive growth and value to these parents that we talked about earlier who recognize and realize that they want to get their kids out of the house and involved in something organized so that they can improve not only physical ability, but social ability? What value does Augusta United bring to the table?
Excuse me. I would say, man, the biggest thing, man, is the knowledge that the coaches got. I will say, being an athlete myself, being in the coaching game for a while, there's a lot of years of experience in that coaching staff. And that's kind of what you want. When you talking about your youth, man, you don't know whether or not they're going to be in the NFL yet. All right. I know you as parents automatically, you know what I'm saying? I got an 8-year-old right now. If you ask me, I want to be the next Michael Vick. But in the same breath, I'm realistic that we don't know. He could be a dentist for all we know when he grows up. Right. We don't even know. He could be a dentist. So what you want is that great tutelage, right? You want your child to be up under somebody first and foremost that is going to make sure they don't get hurt. Now, there's no guarantees because football is a contact sport, right? Gladiator sport. But you want somebody that can show your player how to understand in the best position to embrace that contact so that way there is limited to no injuries. Right, first and foremost, safety first. Secondly, man, you want knowledge of the game. Reason being is, now you need the fundamentals to be taught. Right, the key thing by the time you get to middle school, high school, and all that is you can tell the difference in between a child that's probably played some organized ball versus the one that's just raw natural talent. And it doesn't mean that when you're just raw natural talent, you won't make it. But what chances are is that it's the little things that you hadn't discovered yet. It's almost kind of like you got that one dude that can just boom, boom. Let's just say he's knocking down the trays. Easy peasy. Like, man, where you been? And then you got the dude that goes and shoots 300 threes every day after practice. And then all of a sudden he can do the same thing. So, learning the fundamentals can obviously always help you.
Yes.
Secondly, man, get out there and that cooperation we was talking about at the top of the podcast, that socialization, man. Let me tell you something. They get out there, and last year I had 6 and 7. So let me say that one more time. 6 and 7. So you got what I'm saying? They still getting smiley faces right at the end of the day. Right. You got to check if they getting red light, green lights. So when they come out to practice, what you think as a coach, a lot of my job is, you think it's, hey, let me show you how to tackle real quick, or hey, man, what's up with your attitude?
There you go.
Give you some soft things. Hey, why aren't you respecting the teacher in school? Right, because we just need you to understand the hierarchy of authority. Some days you're going to be an authority, and some days you're going to have to follow. Why? Because all great leaders know how to follow. Right. If you're a great leader, you don't even question whether or not you're authority. That's not even, that you did that right. You already know that there are going to be certain days that G going to run the show. There's going to be days that I run the show. It's going to be days that Bessie going to run the show.
Gee.
It's all good, but all good leaders know how to follow. So it's a lot of soft skills that you got to kind of teach, man. I'm going to say our babies, man, coming into this thing, that you want to make sure, kind of like we talked about in the neighborhoods, you want to know who you have your child around and that they're getting that kind of wisdom and obviously things poured into them that are going to help them develop and mature as a player. So that way, by the time they get to middle school, hey, man, they kind of already been through the system. They kind of know the basics and understand that will ultimately put them ahead of any child that's just coming into the game.
So let me ask you this right here. As these kids are under leadership, I would say as coaches in the organization, do you have kids who come from different sides of town, different streets, different neighborhoods? And if so, how have you been able to get those guys to gel together, not knowing anything about each other, not being from even sometimes the same walk of life, to where they are almost like brothers when they leave, the season? Because I think that is part of how we improve the socialization of these young men and young boys and young girls to become these leaders that we need in our community.
All right.
But how have you seen those changes from the beginning when you get these guys into the end?
So I'm gonna tell you, man, it's always interesting to watch the team at the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And what happens is, in the first part of the year, first segue of the season, and this is probably before games even starting, and understand you got newbies. What does that mean? They're newbie to each other. Right. Meaning that you got kids over here off of Glen Hills, you got maybe a couple coming out of Evans, you got some Burke, you got some that's in the local Augusta. So they're not going to school each other. So remember I talked about the neighborhood thing to where, hey, question mark. The fact that we don't play in the neighborhoods and now the neighborhoods play the other neighborhoods and the other sides of towns, does that give us a lack of maturity when it comes to the socialization? So now these kids go to school together, so they ain't never seen each other before, right? So you're taking about 20 kids, right? Now think about this, 26 7-year-olds that understand, are not familiar with each other, and are probably most accustomed to having their way.
There you go.
Because mama's still saying, that's my baby. Right. When she drop them off, I don't want my baby don't get hurt. Right. So my baby. So they used to having their way. So what happens is you're going to have some altercations. Right. Who gets to do what first? Who was there first? It's my turn. Right. Because they ain't got no rapport with each other in the very beginning of the season. Right. And then what happens is you provide structure. Right. You provide a positive structure. Right. You give them kind of a goal. Right. That's why let's say in practice, we run a drill. Right. Everybody runs the same drill. The reason is that's uniformity. If you're in the military, you know all about uniformity. Right. The whole thing to get people gelling together is uniformity.
That's right.
So we run these drills. Right. And what happens is somewhere about mid-season, everybody kind of knows the flow of it. They have expectation. They're now familiar with each other.
Correct.
Bobby knows not to hit on Timmy because, Timmy going to hit him back. Right. We done squashed that. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody done set boundaries. This is what happens when you deal with people in first.
Real life. I've seen this.
You set boundaries. Right. And everybody respects them. And that's good. And then by the end of the season, you see it's forming into a brotherhood to where now Timmy and Bobby, because I know how Timmy is. Right. They're complimenting each other now. Right. Because naturally, if you're my brother, I don't want to go against your grain. But if I know that's rubbing you the wrong way and I can be a nice person and do something different, why do I want to? Right. Yeah. And what happens is I won't now. Right. Because I want to be friends with you. Right. And I want us to get together. So now you see the brotherhood that starts kind of forming by the end of the season. Right. And it's always natural, man. Ragamuffin, looking like the bad news, who knows what got going on in the mix. Then all of a sudden you see it, they start gelling, boundaries, right. We starting to socialize. By the end of it all though, and now you see the brotherhood, everybody look. By the end of the season, everybody showing up to everybody's birthday party.
Yeah.
That's where we at that's where you at by the end of the season. Right. We trying to find things to do next to keep the team together, to celebrate, right, to keep the fellowship going. So, man, that's been my experiences, over the years that I've been coaching when you took them teams in the tip top. Like I said, they're brand new, and because they are from different sectors, they don't really know each other like that. Taking that, gelling them, and then forming the brotherhood that what a real team is by the end of the season.
And what do you see from the parents? What do you see happen to the parents who don't know each other, who come from different walks of life at the same time as well? So as the kids you see that progression with them, what happens to parents, man? Because that's the key thing here as well, is not only the kids being able to deal with each other through good and bad situations, learn from each other, and know how to overcome these obstacles and adversities, right? Or even differences within the practice situation and most definitely the game situation.
That's right.
But the parents, man, because these are the foundations of the community overall that have to happen so that, I'll be quite blunt, is that there isn't any violent or any adverse return on not knowing someone and not knowing how to deal with a scenario situation by learning some of these fundamental things in the practice and in being part of the organization. What have you seen parents happen with them from a progression of gelling together more from a parental standpoint? Because the kids are doing it. What have you seen from that?
So I think naturally with the parents, you have the same scenario, but obviously as adults, you would assume at this point, most of us we've had jobs before where that's the first time you met somebody, you had to learn how to deal with a whole new crew. You might have went to a new church. You might have started a new organization, but you've had several changes where you've kind of had to reset your circle, what's going on. So you're kind of familiar with, hey, we're coming together, bedded up, our kids play on the same team. Cool. So, for them, I would say it's not so much of a jail part because they just kind of understand and just the way the world works and they're mature at this point, what that looks like. I would say with the parents is more so understanding their involvement for the player to the organization. What happens is in the beginning of the season, you don't have a real expectation as a parent, right? And you got to think about it, depending on the age level, because obviously all the main babies, you might have a 9, 10-year-old, right, that have played sports before. But most of the time is, what is your level of dedication for this or to this for this player?
Yes.
Right, what does that mean? Whether you talk to any other parents or not, be great if you do, but if you don't, maybe it's just one of them days you'd rather not talk that straight. But do you got Timmy when you know Timmy need to be at practice 3 days out the week so Timmy could be the better version of himself? Right. Because at the end of the day, if you bring him out there and you do everything that you're supposed to do, and then let's just say something happens with, I'm going to say Timmy in the depth chart during the season, then there's nothing to be said. Most parents will have, I'm going to say, customer service complaints, naturally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They got customer service complaints.
Yeah.
Right. So what you try to do as an organization, and we keep refining our systems with Augusta United to, hey, man, the way I like to look at it is the parents are the customer, right? Because none of them little jokers got driver license. I get it. None of them can bring, they ain't nobody buy no cleats. I get it. And nobody about to get no soda pack. I get it. Yeah. So you are the customer. And I look at your child like they're the $5 bill. So you rolled up to the practice, and Miss Williams, you got the $5 bill, and that's Timmy, right? So you're going to give me Timmy that $5 bill. And what I'm going to say to you, Miss Williams, is that by the end of the season, based off of some of the things we just kind of mentioned here, but obviously it's a little bit more in depth than that.
Correct.
I'm going to give you back an $8 Timmy.
That's what you want. Return on.
I'm going to get you a return on your investment.
That's right.
Right. Because it's one thing for us to kind of sit up here and talk about this overall, yada, yada, but this is how I talk about then trying to use what you know and can do in application. Because this is the thing I tell you, we could do all this talking on the podcast all day.
Yes.
If we're not really about that life application and execution, it doesn't matter. So all I'm doing is sharing what, my experiences are, how I feel about it. But then I'm also going to give you the examples of like, this is where you deploy it. Right. All the things I mentioned about how I feel, we hadn't quite through youth football. That's how I try to get that back for us. Reason being is we got to be able to, especially our young men, we got to teach them how to communicate, but we got to treat our young brothers how to deal in adversity. Brothers have an issue dealing with each other for whatever reason. Right. You got your tight circle. That probably the older you get is like 2, 3 people. Right. You will start off at 10. Now you like 1, 2, 3. Right. And man, for the life of us, we got to be able to get together. Mm-hmm. Right. It's a cause that we just can't abandon the cause. Where we can, we got to be able to show them, man, where we can, hey, this is where we come together like that brotherhood at the back end of the season. People from all different walks of life.
Right.
Right. But we coming together for one common cause, man, to be better. And we got to keep that going.
Perfect, man. It's good that we have organizations like AU, Augusta United. Of course, they're say the name, but there are multiple other organizations being created that you would think that the same process or the same idea of putting a new organization together, that it touches all those bases, because the only way that we get better as a community, as a region, is that these organizations that are going to develop and shape our future leaders,
that's right,
that they are able to coach your kids, keep them safe, teach them fundamentals, not only about sports, but just about life, and then the soft skills that they need, man, so they can be great socialists, in the community itself. Because this is about developing community leaders, and so through that learn process, I believe is how they get to that win, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. Man, and I think that's another reason why we're doing this podcast is to share some of these experiences and thoughts, right? Obviously get your experiences and your thoughts, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, man. I love to hear a teacher, and I would love to hear your experiences about what's the behavior like in school these days? Right. And if, you're in that 25, 30, where you done seen two folds of it when you first came in versus kind of like, I'm not saying what they can get away with now, but let's just keep it a buck. We know it's a little bit different. Right. Versus the way they monitor and they handle things now versus the way it was handled back in the day. Situation's different. And I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Whether or not when they do get to school, man, it's kind of like an all out, let your boo-loo thing, because, kids ain't really playing with each other outside of school like that. So guess where they're going to find the time to go socialize and learn about these differences? In school. But what's the problem with school? They're supposed to be learning. Now, I say that because we're going to have another segue about education. But they're supposed to be going to school to learn.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, man, as we get close to the end of wrapping this episode up, what's two things?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you learned in this past week or this year? And then what's the one thing that you had a win at?
What I learned this year? Man, I would say the one thing I learned this year, and it's actually, it's probably more about being a father. And it's because I'm about to be a grandfather. So the appreciation of family. And I will also say this, I've also lost a couple of loved ones, here within a short time frame, the last 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So I'm in that range where I recognize people that I grew up with are no longer here. Now you can start counting them on one hand who's left. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, from a mental perspective, that changes things. It starts shifting the way you look at it. Right? When so many people that you saw, now all of a sudden they're missing.
Yeah.
Right? They're gone. So like I said, man, death tied in with obviously birth.
Yeah.
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 So, man, I right now, family has been very important to me.
Your family's growing.
Yeah. The family is very important to me, man, to appreciate the ones that are still here. Right. I think about some things about, conversations that you didn't have with loved ones. Hey, man, go ahead and talk, man. There's nothing worth you just just saying, hey, Buck, whatever in the Latin. You don't want to see him, man, on the passing. That's not the first time you want to have seen him. Just go talk to him real quick, man. Just go ahead and squash it because it's just not worth it. It's not worth the inevitable not being able to ever get an opportunity to do it again. Right. It's just not worth it. But obviously appreciating the ones that you got. Right. Now I got a birth. I got a, grandbaby that's about to drop. So watching the extension of the tree.
Yeah.
The tree, and then you had a couple of branches, and now the branches having fruit. You're like, So that's all cool too. Yeah. So that's all cool too, man. The SureWin, I would tell you, man, is starting this podcast. I just recently actually just had death in the family. Very close death.
Sorry for the loss, bro.
Appreciate you. I still wanted to make sure that we kick this off today, though.
Man.
Yeah, SureWin. Reason being is, man, sometimes you got to go through adversity. And I will tell you, the enemy will use things to get you off track.
Yeah.
Right, let me help you out. The first thing I asked myself was, it's a coincidence to me that it happened this week, the same week I was getting ready to, kick this off.
Yeah.
And what happens is it gives you something to think about. And naturally, what a lot of people want to do is just pause for the calls and hold up. I sat there and I thought about it on the day because, like I said, I didn't call you till yesterday.
True.
Because I wanted to make sure that this happened. I didn't want any more hiatuses. I didn't want anything else. Reason being is I think the impact of this long term has to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about a SureWin. Sometimes, man, you're going to go through a little bit of adversity. And I'm saying the enemy will use adversity to throw you off the purpose.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? So, man, the SureWin is making sure that we do get this podcast so we can reach back into the community, obviously helping folks. Like I said, hearing from folks, like I said, I'm one of them back and forth type of dudes. That's why I'll be talking to you guys, man, and I love to hear what you guys got to say because statistically, I just need somebody to back it up. And obviously, teachers will do it. Right. They'll let us know what the school system looking like.
Need feedback.
Yeah, we need that feedback. Right. Let us know. It might be something that we missing that we need to share with everybody.
Please.
Right. So, man, being that can do it. Right. Just a can do it. At the end of the day, man, what they tell you, you can always lead the horse to the water. Make them drink it. I mean.
That's right. That's right.
So, man, but in all love, the podcast, kicking off the podcast 2026.
Got it. And I'll leave you with this, man. My Learn Something moment this year so far has been being much more focused on the family dynamic.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of mirrors some of the things that you're saying. We get in the hustle and bustle of creating projects, creating things that we want to do in business, and you look, time flies by so quick, and the little ones, so much time is lost because you're focused on where you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, to where you just slow that down a little bit and say, hey, no matter what, I'm going to make sure that my time is divided the proper way to where I give the family life and the family dynamic the attention that it needs, and being intentional.
You gotta be intentional.
Having those conversations, having more of those conversations with the older kids I have, and then most definitely the younger ones as well. So that's been, because when I've seen me shift and do that, the responses from them and responsiveness to the things that they're tasked to do, or I need them to do, or want them to do, it doesn't get as much pushback as it has in the past. So, and I know this is all because I'm investing more time in them and the things that they have going on. So that's been the Learn Something moment for me, man. Is just recognizing that me got to pull back up to the table and get more time back. The win, man, it is this.
Yeah,
it is this. I think we've had success in a lot of different areas in life, individually and collectively, and those are stories to be able to share.
They coming.
From franchise days, man, we got so much to get into. To sports, to military, all that good stuff.
Some of it good and some of it messy. Some of it messy, Truck. In order to get to where we had to go, Truck, we had to clean up a little mess. Absolutely, that builds character.
Absolutely, man. So, like you said, get into this. Just even not being kind of even nervous today.
Yeah.
I was a little like last night. I was up like, well, we kick this off tomorrow. Ain't no turning back now, right? So getting here and being in this moment, being in this great studio, being with this great support team, and most definitely being beside best friend of since third grade, it's a win for me, because we've been trying to get these conversations that we have isolated in the garage, in the house, in the office, or whatever like that, on the phone, and just, man, we just need to say that, hey, we need to be able to share this information with folks, because we sharpen each other iron all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we want to do, is be able to give those strategies, blueprints, however processes, experiences, to be able to help enrich other folks, man, from all different age levels. So, yeah, that's my win, bro. That's my win.
That's good.
And
that's good stuff
right now, bro. So
that's good stuff,
man. So this has been a good one, bro. Looking forward to the next one. We got a lot of people that we'll be interviewing here in the future from all different lanes, political, athletics, corporate, entrepreneurs.
Shout out Gatos.
Yes. So looking forward to those opportunities, man, as that pipeline continues to build. And hey, we ask that you tap in, man. Anything you want to say, man, before we sign off, bro?
No, man, but I appreciate everyone. Bro, I obviously appreciate you. Let's keep doing what we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, hey, this is the SureWin and Learn Something podcast. Hey, just remember, in order to win, you have to learn something. Signing off, Sherwin Glosson, Blue Baker. Peace.